Hello and welcome to Giant Mess, a sloppy sports and entertainment talk show that covers everything from the New York Giants and the New York Mets to movies, TV, comedy, and a whole lot more. It's hosted by a giant mess, yours truly, the real cinch Neal Lynch. I am unshaven, I am wet, and I am looking not good. I'm an Irish Italian American. I graduated from a Catholic high school. I got the guilt, but not the follow through. And I went to a research university known for producing doctors, lacrosse players. And I said nay to each of those things. Instead, I like to tell funny stories, and I hope you laugh, because that's the main goal. I get one laugh, that's one extra credit, that's one bonus point, that's one little credit in the life meter. If this is a video game, it goes up by one. Every laugh I get, you're literally feeding my soul with all the laughs you give me. Thank you, I appreciate it. You can leave a voicemail at 862-268, nope. 862-248, nope. 862, you know what, no one uses the voicemail, fuck it. Who cares? Just look it up. Giant Mess phone number. Maybe it'll pop up. I don't know. You can subscribe to Giant Mess on YouTube. You can actually see my ugly mug making all kinds of weird expressions that you can't normally get when you're just listening to the pod on some kind of audio platform. You can subscribe to the pod on Apple or Spotify if you're not into the whole visual thing. You don't like using your eyeballs. I get it. You can follow me on the blog, neallynch.com. You can follow me on facebook.com/giantmess. And then I'm Real Cinch on Twitter and Instagram. On today's episode, I'm going to recap that wacky road trip that the Mets had for the past week or so against the Braves, Phillies, and Yankees. A lot of emotions, a lot of ups and downs. Is it time to panic? The injury bug is in full force and wreaking havoc. We got the debut of Brett Beatty, and we had two of our aces looking not so ace-like. The Mets are the cure for what ails the Yankees, that's for damn sure. But we do have Philadelphia's numbers, so that's great. Thank God we're done with those D-bags. I'll also talk about the Giants' preseason Week 2 game against the Cincinnati Bengals, the defending AFC champions, Cincinnati Bengals, the performance we got from Daniel Jones, my thoughts on Antonio Williams, breaking down basically every position group on the offensive side of the ball, and then taking a look at what we can expect on defense. Is all of this just one big mirage, or are we barreling towards disaster? That and more. So I'm cocked, I'm loaded, I'm ready to go. Let's fire away. I hope you enjoy. See you on the flip. The Yankees were slumping, and that was a big story. Like 4-14, they've lost over the past 20. They've lost this many games, and now they're like only this many games ahead. And so, I'm thinking the Mets are gonna absolutely feast on these motherfuckers. And nope, they just got swept. They lost both games. Scherzer wasn't his. I mean, it's now back-to-back games where he's let up 4 earned runs. You had the viral clip of Aaron Boone pounding the table, and you think, oh, okay, we're getting the Yankees right at the right time. And it's like, yeah, dum-dum. That's not how the Mets world works. We are the team that's going to turn their woes around. But I really did think this year was going to be different. But there's still a little bit of Metsitis, where it's like, oh, everyone's talking about the schedules and saying like, oh, well, the Braves got off to, are going these like incredible winning streaks because they've had such a weak schedule. And so they had a weak schedule in the beginning, and then we had a tough schedule, and we have a weak schedule coming up. And it's like, I can't shake the feeling, and I know I shouldn't say it out loud, but it's hard not to. I have to acknowledge it, because if I don't, I bury it deep, and it burns a hole in my stomach, and I get an ulcer, and then I can't see my baby get married. Everyone's talking about this soft schedule that's coming up, but it's like someone said that the Dodgers in their series against the Pirates and another shitty team, maybe the Marlins, it's like they're like 1-5. And I could just see that happen to us, where it's like we're just full on expecting to sweep or win these series, and maybe it's like we split or lose the series, and then we're like, everyone's kind of like, oh God, no, it's happening. Yeah, September's a tough month for Mets fans. Not sure if you're aware. I can't, I almost don't want to say the word September. That's why I like the S word. That's the S word for me. We don't say the S word. We don't talk about September. No. We don't talk about September. And it's tough too. Like, I mean, that Phillies series was awesome. And what we haven't had a day off in how long? I just think they're tired. And I think they get a day off tomorrow. It's like they lost tonight. They lost the night before. Everyone's up in arms about, I know Scherzer's pissed at McCann. McCann's in a bad spot, or it's like, I think someone posted a stat on Twitter where all the Mets catchers have an OPS of like less than 600, which is that's just rough. Especially from, I look at James McCann, and I know I don't know the guy personally, but I see everyone else on the team like getting along with each other and having a good time. It feels like there's a good vibe in the clubhouse, but McCann just seems like he just wants out. He's like, I don't want any part of this place anymore, despite all the winning that we're having. It just feels like he just doesn't want to be there anymore. I don't know. I mean, he's struggling so bad right now. There are a lot of guys struggling right now. So the day off is good. It's a good day off. But that Mets-Phillies series, as much as I'm haunted by Mets memories of old, coming down the stretch in the season, how we have a tendency to, after such a huge doubleheader game the day before, then coming back on a Sunday when it's a guy who, the Mets are rolling guys out there I have never seen or heard of. And I, understandably, I'm not like a diehard. I don't know the full 40-man roster at single A like a lot of people do. But I do follow the guys on Twitter that know about the Mets minor leagues. And I haven't seen or heard a peep about any of these dudes. Like Escobar goes down, Guillorme goes down, gets hurt. And there's these Perez Marrero, I think, and some other guys just like, what? Where's Vientos? Where's Mauricio? Where are all these guys that I keep hearing? Alvarez, I keep hearing and seeing them on my timeline, and they're not up. But these guys I haven't heard a peep about are now at the major league level, suited up and starting. Like, what? And then, of course, everyone was all up in arms about Brett Beatty not coming up, and then he comes up and he homers in his first ever at bat, and it's like, oh my God, we have the next David Wright. He's going to be like Michael Conforto was for us in 2015, and then he's gone into a pretty bad slump now. And he's made two pretty significant base running errors, one of which he got away with, and the other one tonight he did not, where it's like he keeps looking at, it's like, just run, dude. Don't look at what's going on. Just run, Forrest, run. Whatever. I still think as bad as the Mets Braves series was, and the only reason that was bad was because of all the injuries. I think Walker leaving a game early, had another Carrasco, all the freaking rain delays that they exhausted the bullpen, and they had to have Darren Ruff come in, throw a couple scoreless, no big deal. So I think the day off will be great. But that Mets-Phillies game, that Sunday game, I've seen it so many times where we just stink in Sunday day games. It's just like no one wants to be there, and it's just like awful, and we usually lose. But this one was like we had every right to lose, or we have every chance or opportunity or excuse to lose. We're throwing a pitcher who no one's ever heard of before. But apparently he's the youngest. I don't know if this is right, but he's the youngest. We're talking about Butto. He's the youngest Mets pitcher to make his first start at 24 years old, which cannot be right, because I remember that was like the whole thing, or the appeal of like the Generation K with Pulsifer, Isringhausen, and who's the other one? I can't remember. Good Lord. But I guess they were not 24 like this dude. And of course, the Phillies get out to a big start at the beginning, 4-0 hole. And I think a lot of teams would have been like rolled over because it's like, all right, well, let's just split the series and get out of here. And they just kept fighting. And what a finish. My God. Great win to pull out. Mark Canha giving his like very memorable moment. That whole series for the whole season has been just highlight package. Like all the top Mets highlights seem to have come from the Phillies series. Like the combined no-hitter, coming back down from big to win the game early on in the season. This comeback, Canha's 2 home runs, and the bat flip. Just is such an amazing bat flip, especially after Gene Segura, like in the bottom of the 8th, he had the home run and he like went nuts rounding the bases. And that probably just took out a lot. It's got to take a lot out of your team. And then you come in against the Yankees, who have been limping and struggling with a bunch of guys in their lineup that are hitting under 200. Like Aaron Judge, who leads the league in home runs, has gone powerless. He's just hasn't been able to hit the ball out of the yard. And of course he just mashes against us. And you're like, oh, yeah, well, that is the MVP candidate, the top one right there. Okay, got it. So it's unfortunate we lost both against the Yankees, but it doesn't faze me that much. I'm more concerned about, there was a point where I was like, after we took 4 or 5 from the Braves, I'm hearing chatter that the Phillies are the team to watch because the Phillies were on a hot streak, ever since they got rid of Girardi. And so, I was like, I guess we got to concern ourselves with the Phillies and not the Braves. But the Braves have now called up these 2 dudes that are like 21 years old, Harris and Grissom, that are unbelievable. Like, of course, the Braves would call up top prospects. And of course, they would just seamlessly integrate into the lineup and produce. Of course, dude. So, we still have a bunch of games to go. We still have that S word month coming up. And my hope is that we can just hang on to first. And you still have to worry about the Dodgers because they just seem like they're just unbeatable in everything they do. Someone was saying, dating back, if you were to take the last 162 games for the Dodgers, they would have been like 116 wins or something like that. It's like, oh my God, dude. But as we've seen with like the Mariners and with a lot of teams that have like unbelievable, amazing regular season efforts, they don't always win the World Series. And then that's when my buddy, they brought up the Cardinals again. I was like, I keep forgetting about the Cardinals, dude. Because there's always that one team, like it was the Nats in 2019, I think, where it's like no one expects them to do shit and like barely make the playoffs, and then they coast to a World Series championship. And I think the Braves even got off to a pretty subpar start to last year and ended up winning it all. So, baseball. That's baseball, Susan. So, I think they just gotta stay healthy. I think hopefully they'll get Tyler McGill back and he'll be able to contribute either in the rotation or out of the bullpen. Trevor May, ever since returning, he's been kind of like a horror show for the most part. As he comes in now and everyone's like, oh, well, here's at least a couple runs that we're going to be down. But, I think he's just got to get his confidence back. And, like a lot of people have been saying, he just can't, you got to give him some movement and some variety on these pitches. You can no longer just throw 94 down the pipe. You got to locate and you got to get some movement on it. And Walker, he just has one bad inning per outing. It's just one bad inning, and it's enough sometimes to lose the game. It's like he coasted for the first 2, and I think the 3rd or 4th inning he gives up like 2 runs or something like that. But it could have been a lot worse, where it could have been 4 or 5 or more. He just has that one bad inning every time, and they're not allowing DeGrom to go past 75, 76 pitches so far. I think they have Scherzer on somewhat of a limit. They let Bassett go over 100 pitches, and it is smart for the most part. You don't want to blow your wad in the regular season and then not have anything for the postseason. I think that's what happened to the Mets in 2006, I want to say, where it was just like our starting pitching was running on fumes. But I don't see that happening now. I think even David Peterson, so nice to have him as a spot starter. He's been using that slider effectively, and the hits god, Jeff McNeil producing, Lindor I can't believe that Lindor got snubbed from the All-Star game, and he might not admit it, but that's got to be a chip on his shoulder, and he's got to think to himself, like, fuck that. And I know All-Stars selections shouldn't really matter. Taijuan Walker is a great example of it. He was an All-Star last year because he had a phenomenal first half and completely shit the bed in the second half. And you look at his final stat line, you're like, this guy was an All-Star? So I think he had to take that a little bit personally, and he's been on a tear. And I know Polar Bear, Pete Alonso's been in a slump, and he snapped his bat tonight, but it's bound to happen eventually for the majority of Major League Baseball players. You're going to go through a cold streak. And I think I think it just takes a little dink hit or something to turn it around. Doesn't take much for him, I don't think, I know that there were some people that were on him a lot of times because he would leave runners stranded or runners in scoring position, but he has, I don't know if it's still the case, but the most RBIs, like go ahead RBIs of anyone with, whoever meets the minimum of anyone in the major leagues. You can't say he's not clutch when that's the case. So, he's let us down a few times in the past week or so, but he'll come back. He'll come back strong. And that's the beauty of this team is that, that you look at that Sunday game and we needed big clutch hits, and Mark Canha was the guy to produce it. Sometimes it's Marte, sometimes it's Nimmo. I know Nimmo's been going through struggles recently, but then there's McNeil to pick him up, And I think, honestly, I know I've said it way too many times in the span of this podcast, but that day off is going to be, I hope they go, I'll go all spa day on people's asses. I know that, I've been a sloth ever since I came back from the fantasy football weekend. There was too much food, and so I got to take some food home. I took a whole pizza pie home, ate the entire thing that day. And it wasn't, it doesn't feel like I was picking out, because it was I spread it out over the course of a couple hours. It wasn't like I just housed an entire pie in an hour. It's I'd have 2 slices to kick it off, and then probably an hour later I'd have a third, another hour later it's a fourth. It's it wasn't all at once. And then I ordered Chinese food, but that's completely different. That's something else. That's just, it's my tradition. Sunday night tradition. All right, so we'll get into the Giants. Giants preseason. Week 2's in the books. They beat the Bengals 25-22. Davis Webb looking like Aaron Rodgers on the last game-winning drive. And Alex Bachman looking like, Wes Welker, Julian Edelman type with his quickness and speed and his ability to cross up, accelerate, get in the end zone. And of course we had the scare with Kayvon Thibodeau and his knee injury, which is not a torn ACL. It's I guess a sprained MCL, which I had my senior year in high school, in preseason. I guess you'd call it preseason. I don't know what else you'd call it. Exhibition game against Malcolm X Shabazz at a home game on a Saturday. And I remember I dropped back and I had a running back crossing shallow, and I stepped and threw, and the guy went right at my left knee. And I thought I heard something pop, but maybe not. And then I was like, wow, I've waited my entire life to be the starting quarterback for the varsity team in high school. I'm finally here, and now I'm going to miss my entire senior year because this guy decided to go low and take a cheap shot. But it was just sprained MCL. So I was only out probably 2 or 3 weeks. And I don't even know if I had to wear a brace. Maybe I did wear a brace for that first game. And it didn't really hurt my game anyway, because I'm not a fast runner anyway. But so once I heard it was an MCL sprain, I was like, all right, that's great. And even if he's not ready for week 1, I don't know that's going to make that huge a difference. I think we keep seeing these videos of him dominating in training camp or giving good reps in practice. And then I don't know that I've seen much of anything in the preseason so far that would make me think, okay, this guy is going to take the game over. And maybe this injury sets him back and we're not going to see what we saw or what we had hoped for. I think most people are kind of hoping that he's on the same level, maybe better, as Azeez Ojulari was last year as a rookie, which Ojulari is back now from injury. I guess he had a hamstring thing. He's back now, and he's looking good. It's something like he's had triple or double the amount of QB pressures, hits, and sacks than anyone else on the Giants team so far this preseason, which is encouraging. But I don't know that I've really changed my stance from what I saw after the Patriots game. Daniel Jones comes out. I think he starts most of the first half, if not a quarter and a little bit of the second quarter, and is perfect pretty much. No arguments. His interception was a tip ball. Wasn't really his fault. It's possible he might have missed an open running back on the left that could have picked up chunk yardage, but he still threw it to a guy that got a first down. It's you could nitpick, and I do love to nitpick, but it's okay, I don't know that really changes anyone's opinion of him, because it's against backups, and it's preseason, and it's vanilla looks, and it's base packages, and it's you almost expect him to do this. And if he did anything worse than what he did, then there would be a reason for concern. At least that's my takeaway, is if he had come out and sucked and completed half his passes and got picked up and got legitimately picked off once or twice, no touchdowns, then it's all right, panic button, smash it. But that's not the case. I mean, he was perfect, but it's still it's cautious optimism with him. I think I just like the look of the offense from a scheme point of view perspective. Crossing routes, high completion attempts that are going to get you move the chains and that are alternating looks. It's not just let's run 5 yards down the field and turn around. Let's not run 10 yards down the field. Let's use some movement. Let's move some guys around. Let's let Danny dime. I think that's the saying this year, right? Let Danny dime. Let Russ cook. We're going to let Danny dime. Tight window throws, which he is usually good at. I mean, that's what he was good at and excelled at in his rookie year, 2019. And you saw it a little bit on Sunday night, with the back shoulder pass of David Sills and, the tight throw to Colin Johnson where he bobbled it a little bit. But I mean, the biggest concern for me, at least on the offensive side of the ball, is the wide receiver situation is just out of control. I have no doubt that Saquon Barkley is going to have a career year. I'm oddly enough, even though I don't think we're going to win a ton of games, which maybe I need to backtrack on that after looking at the schedule and hearing about the schedule and like some of the teams we're going to face, and considering that our defense, I don't even know what to think of our defense at this point. But I do think that Saquon Barkley is going to have a career year, better than his rookie of the year campaign, I think. I mean, he just seems so determined, and I think that you're not going to see the bullshit that you did in 2020 and a little bit of 21 where it's like the guy has 0 holes, and getting him in space, getting him in more favorable chances and opportunities, using him as a receiver, which I've been harping on forever for the past 3 seasons. Get him the ball in space. I think Justin Pennick said, but on Talking Giants, like the running game, like the passing game to backs is an extension of the running game. You don't need to hand the ball off to him to be effective. Just get the ball in his hands in space so he can make a move and get you more yardage, baby. So I think he's going to have a phenomenal year. The tight end situation's fucked. The wide receiver situation is fucked. And the O-line situation is not great. I mean, you have to hope and pray to every god there is in the book that Andrew Thomas and Evan Neal stay healthy, that Glowinski stays healthy, that Lemieux's toe thing doesn't become a ongoing thing, that Josh Idowizu from UNC, that he ends up that his raw abilities are refined and he's able to contribute. Because, I mean, it's the interior of that line that kind of scares me. But, someone posted a picture of them, that O-line forming a pocket on Sunday night. And I was like, oh, so that's what that looks like. Cool. I've heard about this pocket, this so-called pocket. So, has it changed my mind about anything? I don't know. I mean, I just think our tight ends, I was hoping for more from Bellinger. I forget that we had 11 goddamn draft picks from this past draft and that 7 of them are hurt or injured. Cool, I guess. Darian Beavers, he tore his ACL. You can't tell me that freaking turf is not a monster that snatches soles and ligaments. That turf monster needs to be put down hard. I don't know if we need to call 11 from Stranger Things or we need to call The Witcher or who. But this is just, it's absurd at this point. We're losing good men. Lost some good men out there. So that sucks because I think Beavers was having a pretty good training camp, pretty good preseason games. There are just too many guys that I have not seen at all. I mean, Kenny Golladay getting 0 targets and played 21 snaps on Sunday night, 0 targets. It's the preseason. It doesn't matter. But at the same time, just for our mental health, throw him a bone. Just so he can get a catch, you know what I mean? So he can stop all this conversation and talk, because people are not going to stop talking about it. They're not. He's really got to, I don't know. And now it's like the writing's on the wall that Jones is just not comfortable with him now, and that he's not going to go to him when the chips are down and the pressure's on. And so I have a feeling I ended up, and this is what's, I guess you could say funny about my hypocrisy, is that last week I'm like, I want him off my team, and then I drafted him on my fantasy football team. He's great value pick though. I mean, I got him in the friggin' 10th round or something like that. But I look at his projected stats in fantasy football and I'm like, oh my God, it's basically the same as last year. You gotta be kidding me. He's supposed to be our wide receiver one. Like Sterling Shepard is like, I guess all signs are pointing to he might be ready for week 1, because if he's not, he'll have to sit out like the first 4 games or something. But like, is he going to be what he was before? Probably not. He's basically going to be like what Victor Cruz was in 2016. It's like maybe he'll have a big catch here or there, but he's not going to like take over a game or make the same kind of moves that he's had that he's done in the past. So it's like I don't really have awful high expectations for him. Darius Slayton has done like a disappearing act. People are claiming that he's going to get traded. Galladay is like, I don't know what is going on with him. And then we've heard nothing but good things about Wan'Dale Robinson in practice and training camp. He hasn't done shit in the preseason games. I haven't seen anything out of him. And then Kadarius Toney is like, he's also like, is he on the team anymore? I don't even know. He has a mystery injury, which is outrageous in this day and time, in this age. It just is. Mystery injury? Don't you have to disclose this shit? Isn't there a rule that, like, league rule? So it's not a whole lot of, it's not inspiring any kind of confidence in me whatsoever. Seeing that Galladay has a history of injuries, Kadarius Toney has a history of injuries, Shepard's coming back off of serious injury, Slayton is just like nowhere to be found, Wan'Dale Robinson might be too small. Like, you know, that was something I was thinking about, and that it was kind of confirmed listening to Talking Giants with Bobby Skinner, is like the plays that he got a touch that was like designed specifically for him and they were manufactured and they didn't do well. So that sucks. So I guess ground and pound, baby. You know, it's going to be a lot of the leaning on Saquon and the running backs. It's going to be, we can run the ball, and then we're going to try and do these check downs to whoever our backups are. I mean, Matt Breida, I guess, is on the team. I haven't seen him at all. Gary Brightwell, I don't think he got any touches if he's still on the team on Sunday. It was mostly Antonio Williams and Corbin, which I am kind of a big fan of Antonio Williams. I don't know if it's the 21 that he wears or what, but he just seems like he's a solid dude who can make some moves and is a powerful, powerful being. So offensive side of the ball, I don't see us scoring. I think we'll move the ball more. I think we'll score more points. I mean, we have to score more points than we did last year, but I don't see us making this huge jump to like, oh, we're now scoring 30 points every game. It's like, let's just be happy scoring. Let's just get over that 20-point barrier. Like if we get close to that and over that each week, I think we have a chance. And the defense, I mean, the Thibodeau injury sucks. Losing Beavers sucks. The big, I mean, obviously it's still the secondary that is just, it's becoming a national joke now, a national punchline, which is great, where it's like Aaron Robinson has no right being the cornerback too. How they don't have someone else to step in there and fill in is preposterous, but this is what Gettleman has got us into. You know, we had a CB2, we had a CB1 in Bradbury, but because of his salary cap mishaps, he's now gone to Philly, the worst place in the world he could have gone to. So I don't know. I know that Clem from Barstool suggested that, you know, once the cuts start coming down and rosters get pared down, that we might snag just like an average cornerback, maybe like an older cornerback who just doesn't look as bad as Aaron Robinson. So there's always hope for that. But like Dane Belton, I haven't seen him at all on the field as a safety, a rookie safety. You have Julian Love and Xavier McKinney are your two starting safeties with Andrew Adams back in the fold. Our defense is just hard to gauge. Like, are they going to be good? Like I feel like with Wink Martindale, they should be able to be a top 10 defense. I know that's very biased, but I just don't think that's very unrealistic. Looking at what we had in 2020 when we were number 9 ranked defense, and I understand it's a completely different scheme and mostly different personnel, but you get Blake Martinez back. I understand he's coming back from a serious injury, but he's still better than what we had going on last year. Tate Crowder at the will, which I thought was interesting. Ojulari, Thibodeau, Williams, Lawrence, Adoree Jackson, and then you got Aaron Robinson and Darnay Holmes, who still has not allowed a touchdown, but still can't cover in man coverage. I don't know what happened to Rodarius Williams. It's just like, I don't know. I could very easily see us, and this is where the pass rushers really need to step it up, because our secondary blows. So all you're hoping for is that Martindale is able to wave his magic blitz wand and cast a spell on the other team with all these aggressive rush packages, and the quarterback won't have time to find the open guy. That's really the hope you're going for. I mean, we did not get a ton of pressures last year, and I think that people are low on O'Shane Zimenez. Is Jihad Ward the answer? Probably not. So I don't know. I know that Wink kind of dialed back the blitzing in the game against the Bengals, but I don't know what the hell to expect in that opening game against the Titans, an away game. I have no freaking clue. I mean, honestly, I don't know. I mean, I still think it's an L for us. I think maybe we keep it close through a half at least, maybe into the fourth, but there's just way too many question marks with this team. Way too many. I'm looking at this schedule again, and it's like, shouldn't we be able to beat the Panthers at home against Baker Mayfield? I would hope. The Cowboys, probably not. The Bears are a little bit of a mess, a little bit of a hot mess, where they don't really have an offensive line. All the receivers passed away. Like, that could be a win, should be a win, especially when we're wearing the old school 80s Giants jerseys in unis. In London against Green Bay, which that feels like an L. Home against the Ravens, that seems like it's probably an L unless things go sideways with Lamar Jackson in that contract. At Jacksonville, which who knows what the Jaguars are. Like, is this the year that Trevor Lawrence is actually good? Like, is Christian Kirk the answer for them at wide receiver 1? And is Travis Etienne Jr. going to be like their go-to guy in the backfield? They don't have a kicker. Santoso, the fucking dude that was on the Giants, who's like crushing 60-plus yarder field goals in a dome. And now he's off the team and they don't have a kicker. But also screw Doug Peterson. So that's the Doug Peterson revenge game, and I hope they blow the Jaguars out of the water, but who knows? Who knows? At Seattle, I mean, you would gotta think that should be a win because they're in a state of disarray with their quarterback situation. Against the home against the Texans, home against the Lions. You have, what's his name? Davis, Mills, and then Jared Goff. So this is what people are talking about with the schedule. Like, it's just, you're facing a lot of quarterbacks that are either unproven or that are mediocre at best. But who knows? I mean, who knows? That's the beauty of the NFL and professional sports. It always has got a twist for you somewhere. But Jalen Hurts, Carson Wentz, Kirk Cousins, Matt Ryan. I mean, the second half of the schedule, I think you get some higher level quarterbacks. So who knows? I just really don't think Aaron Robinson is the answer, and I think Galladay is going to continue to struggle for most of the year. So it's like, even if you have a decent running game and you're able to utilize your running backs better, you still need someone else to step up, don't you? I think most top tier defenses are going to key on the running backs, and then it's like your tight ends and wide receivers need to step up, and I just don't think that's going to happen. It's gonna be another tough year. I can't even begin to think about what 2023 is gonna look like. I know that's like stupid to look that far ahead, but it's just like, I wouldn't say I've completely written off the season. Again, I'll watch every game. I'll be rooting for them hard. I hope to go to a couple games this year. That'd be sweet. But knowing full well that there's just a lot of question marks, and just the overall vibe that I get is like, it's gonna be a long one.